Good evening, everyone. This is Jackie Van Workum, founder of Grieving Moms Finding Hope. Welcome to Hope After the Landslide. My special guest has 4 legs instead of 2, and his name is Jackson. And Jackson and I have been best friends for the past 14 years. Got him in 2004 during another, I won't call it a landslide, I called it kind of a storm. So I called him General Jackson, who calmed the storm. And tonight we're going to be talking about being present in the pasture. And why are we talking about being present in the pasture and being present and relating to horses? Well, there's a lot of reasons. My background has been in life coaching, and it has been in just lay counseling at Saddleback Church for many years. But mostly my gift has been working with horses and using them as a coach also to be able to pull out some deep hurts from people. And horses, just as a little background, Jackson right now, he is in the present. He's not thinking about yesterday's, hay that was probably a little dry. He's probably forgotten all about that. And he's not thinking, well, he might be thinking about dinner because it's about that time. He's not thinking about, gosh, I wonder if, mom's going to get up early enough and go feed me. Right now, he's just in the present. And what he's doing is, since we've been together for a long time, he knows me. Now, you see, he just let out that sound. Well, that really means that he's relaxed. And horses live in a fight or flight moment all the time. So that means that they're going to really be picking up on you. They're going to be picking on their environment. They're going to be very present in the moment, because earlier this afternoon we had the blessing of being able to see some deer in the pasture, and they were grazing, being in the present there, and then all of a sudden they see and hear the deer, and then their focus goes over there. Now, they at first don't know if that's going to be a threat to them, so their curiosity is going to be looking up. They're going to gather together as a herd, and they're going to be in that moment in the present to try to protect themselves. Once they realize it's not a threat to them, that it's just prey like they are, because deer are prey also, they're not in a predator form. Now, man is a predator to horses. So if you can have a relationship with a horse, then you've accomplished a lot, because there's a trust. Because honestly, he truly could care. He's so comfortable right now. You're being such a good boy. He could care less right now, honestly, if he had a relationship with another human at all. But since we've put them into a domestic situation, he has kind of been forced to have to relate to me, because otherwise, again, we're a threat to them. So God talks a lot about, what does this have to do with grieving? God tells us that in Matthew 6:34, that therefore do not worry about tomorrow, for tomorrow will worry about itself, and each day has enough trouble of its own. So we often reflect back to the day of our landslide. In Grieving Moms Finding Hope, we talk about the day of the landslide when we lost our child. That dreadful day, that day that is indescribable, that we were buried and frozen beneath the landslide and just couldn't even move or barely able to breathe. And so, you don't all have a horse to be able to, have therapy. And as a side note, I do that. And if you're ever up in the Bend area, you can certainly schedule to do that, to come up here and have an amazing weekend or a day up here with us, however you'd like, and I can put more information about that. But the day of the landslide, happened, and we don't want to keep going back to the past. Relating it to the horses, they're in the moment. There is nothing that serves us when we go back to the day of that landslide, because it just brings us into this place of the woulda, coulda, shouldas. And you've heard me talk about this so many times. And unless you go back to moments that you had that were cheerful and, laughter, that, you had some good times with your child, that's okay. But if it's something that is going to take you back, because Satan would really, really like to take you down and keep you frozen for as long as he can. Because moms, I've told most of you that when you survive the death of your child, the world is watching you. This is the most dreadful thing that could ever happen. And I want to tell each and every one of you, I am so sorry. It breaks my heart to know that we share this same common denominator. And people will always say to me, Jackie, you're so lucky you get to be up here with the horses. You are being so good. See, all he feels right now is the present moment, that he is being loved. I'm talking in a calm voice. I'm relating to people that are in grief. And he doesn't feel threatened at all. Now, when we took him on a trail the other day, that was a whole different story, which we probably won't talk about. But he did rear me 5 times because he was scared. He went into a flight moment. But there are moments that you can find that are in your present time. You know, when someone invites you out to go to a movie, you know, be in that present moment with them, be in a conversation, journaling all good things, going back to the place where God has gifted you, to look forward to new things. You know, the difference obviously is that we can look forward, and we can have that hope to look forward to different things, better things, unlike the horses. So it's really important to know what has God gifted you with? What are your gifts and talents? Something that you can plan, you know, ahead, or just be in that moment. Last night, after yesterday, I had sort of a heavy day. I talked to a couple of grieving moms on the phone, and, you know, I had some, you know, conflict and different things. Because sometimes you get, when you call the shots, you take the shots, I guess is the best way to put it. And calling the shots is mainly just following God's plan. But there's going to be people that are not going to agree with you, because in this community especially, and other people that are sharing this grief with you, everybody's going to react differently. And if you are appearing to be strong, or you're being sensitive and you're listening to other people and what's going on, then you're going to be the one that's going to take the shots. And yesterday was kind of one of those days, and it hurts, I mean, regardless. Now, see, he just took another deep breath because he's listening to me let go of what happened in my day yesterday. That was letting go of my stress, and because he feels that stress that I'm carrying. So where was I going with that again? So that last night I sat down and I grabbed one of those many coloring books, adult coloring books that were given to me. And, you know, I talked about reading, and I was so tired from the emotional part of it, and then just physically still moving in this new amazing place in Bend, Oregon. And I was exhausted, and all I could do was color. And I tried to stay in the lines and just focusing on that. And I always say just be. I was doing a just be moment. And you know what? I had to say to myself, it's okay. In that moment, I had to be present, and I couldn't worry about, you know, all of the things, the dishes that might have been in the sink. But I'm really just encouraging you ladies to not go backward, you know, focusing on right now. Like right now, hopefully there's a lot of you watching this video and you can learn from this. And there's equine therapy in your area if you can't afford to come to Bend, Oregon. You know, I'm not here to promote equine therapy. And of course, I have been blessed to be able to have this. And it's been a dream. And remember, I told you before, whatever it is that you dream about, God has given you everything that you need to be capable of bringing that dream to fruition. Don't forget it. Don't think that just because you lost your child that all your dreams they're gone. You know, because that scripture that says that he who began, being confident of this, be confident of this, that he who began that good work in you will complete it the day of Christ Jesus in Philippians 1:6. You have to be confident of that. You know, I also want to share that spending time with horses, and someone such as myself being an equine specialist, if you want to call me that. I'm not a licensed like therapist or anything like that, but I am an equine specialist, and I do know horses very well. There's a lot of things that people come to me and other equine therapists about, and they will help in healing anxiety, depression, low self-esteem. There's also a spectrum of addictions, mental health, and of course trauma. And we can call this trauma, PTSD, post-traumatic stress disorder. And people will relate and they'll react to the horses the same way that they do with people. So oftentimes, most people are afraid of a horse. Obviously, you know, he's probably near, are you going to fall asleep? He's about close to 1,000 pounds. But he has no intention of wanting to hurt me. If anything, he's going to try to get away from me if there senses to be danger. And obviously, look at him. He doesn't. He's just okay. I love you. You're going to give me another deep breath. But anyway, people will come up to them, and once they can get relaxed around the horses, they can build self-esteem, because you're around this huge animal that could trample you down if you really wanted to, but it's usually only to get away. Isn't it what we do a lot of times when we're in that whirlpool, if you want to call it, of anxiety? When this happens, you can't breathe, you don't know what to do, you're making irrational decisions, and that's when you're in a flight mode. Because right now, if all of a sudden a mountain lion was standing behind me, gotta make sure there isn't, I would not even know it, but he would run, and he could potentially knock me over, because they're not using their brain. They're using their instincts to be able to get away from fear. So when you approach the horse and we work with them, we do things like, going up to him and picking up, I got to kind of face this way a little bit. You want to come over here. I can pick up, and he can stand on 3 legs like this, and I can just hold up this one foot like this and clean out, you ever see people cleaning out their hooves to make sure there's no rocks and things in it, and then just putting it down. And then I let him know that I'm coming back to here, and look, he's already ready to do it for me. He's going to make a line for me to pick up his back leg. So he's very familiar with my presence, because I'm in the present with him. People always say, well, don't get and stand right behind a horse because they're going to kick you. Well, they don't just intentionally kick you. It's almost like, if you think about, if you are someplace and you get angry with a person, it takes a lot out of you to think about wanting to punch somebody, and hopefully you never want to do that. And they don't want to do it either. So the reason that not standing behind him is not a good idea is because he can't see directly back here. He can't see me right back here. His vision goes from here to this side and to that side. That's about it. So it's like, we don't know, let's see, can I come up with a metaphor for this? I'm not sure if I can, but we don't know really what's behind us, right? We sometimes just have to trust God. We don't know what's ahead of us. We have to just trust God, like with a lot of the things that have happened to us in life. And if we look back, obviously it's not a good situation. It never turns out. When you drive, do you look in your rearview mirror? No, you look forward. That's what the horse does. The key in life with the horse is to get him to go forward, always going forward. Have them go backwards is putting them in a vulnerable position. When we go backwards, we're also in a very vulnerable position. They have the largest eyes of any land mammal. The better to see you with, right? As they say. They have very, very, very big eyes. But the beautiful thing about them is just that I can look out my window, and you know what? You can watch videos on YouTube if you don't have it, and just watch just how they interact with one another. They can be in community together. In fact, today, here's an example. When there was about 10 deer, as I mentioned out here earlier, and probably 9 of them was able to get away from the horse and jump over the fence. Together, they were better together. One of the deer, in fact, I can post the video after this, was left behind. Probably because he was too much in the present, and he was very much isolated and at a place where he could have gotten hurt. So he then almost got trapped, but made his way finally through. So what another good example of not being by ourselves. We're better together. And the Grieving Moms community, let me just explain something. I'm here because I'm not driven by money. Honestly, I haven't made 1 cent from the Grieving Moms Finding Hope. That is not my motivation. This is what God has called me to. I have been working with women and horses for many years, and it brings me great joy. It is helping me to get through my grief. And I have to go into that place of insulating with God in order to fill up, or I come out here with him or with the chickens or whatever it happens to be, so that I can come back out here and I can write and I can continue to do these Facebook Lives so that I can get filled up. But the Grieving Moms community is all about, yes, you're on a Facebook group page. You're all together there on the group page. Everybody can participate. It's all complimentary. The Hope at Sunrise, they go out in the morning. It's a devotional that helps you go through grieving. Those can be also sent to your email. These Facebook Lives obviously are complimentary, hopefully a good tool for you. And hopefully you're not going to change the channel on me, because I do some pretty obscure things, but it's just Jackie. And But the only thing that we do that's a little bit different is if we can't have you in a church locally that's facilitated by another grieving mom, then we have the Zoom calls. And the Zoom calls is merely just going on the grievingmoms.com website and just clicking on, I think there's a link above that you can click on, and you click on that, you get yourself a book, the resurfacing book that I wrote, and then there's a $10 registration. And then you pick the day and the time that you want to be in a group with other moms. And when you click on this particular website, you will just see the other moms in the group, and everybody can interact just as if you were in the same room together, but you can't hug each other. That's the only difference. And that's simple as it is. So to eliminate any confusion, Facebook Lives, daily devotions, the Just Be moments or the Just Be thoughts that I challenge you with, everything on there is just from the love of my heart. If you want to, do you have an itch? If you want to, this is comfort. This is definitely somebody that feels very trusting of his mom. If you want to get in a group, ladies, somebody has to pay for the book. I'm not a church, and I had to pay publishers and editors and all that kind of stuff. So it's a $20 book. It's really not much. And if you are in a real bad predicament financially, we could see if we can make special arrangements, because I do not want money to get in the way. But of course, we are trusting that you'll be honest with that. But I would love to see you in a group, because the moms that have been in the group have had life-changing moments. There has been hope after the landslide for them. There has been times where we go through the book and the friendships are developed through that. When we grieve, we go through something just like the horses. Horses are always together. I took him out on a trail ride, separated them. I guess I'm going to tell you a little bit about that. Separated him from his herd, took him in the trailer at a brand new place, and he's whinnying the whole way down the driveway. He did not want to be separated from his community, so to speak. I got horsehair on my nose. And then we got to the trail. He's meeting new horses that are already in an established herd that he doesn't know, a brand new trail. And so now he's filled with anxiety. He is trying to, now he's in the present moment right now. He could care less what we're doing right now. He's just about eating and taking care of himself. When we got there, he was spinning around, and that's when all of a sudden he reared up on me. And to get him out of that, I have to take his rein and I have to pull him and get him out of that spin. We talk about also in the resurfacing book, and I have to get him to start thinking. Stop. Sometimes I have to give him a little, a jolt, hey, oh, here we are, back to the Facebook Live. Here we are. I have to get him back to that cognitive place so that he's not in that crazy I'm not thinking mode. So then I bring him back here. He goes back to his herd, his community, and he's better. He feels safe. He can do horse talk, whatever it is. They can groom one another. They stand together. They protect one another. It's the same thing that happens when you're in a small group of sorts, in a community of other believers. This is a faith-based community, and nobody's going to thump a Bible on your head if you're not at that place. We just follow the love of God, and He's showing us how we get through all of this. I love you too, boy. Yes, I love you too. 14 years of trust right here. And so when you have these friendships, they could go on for a long, long time, and then there is that trust. And hopefully, your friend's not going to scratch herself on your back with her head. You never know. But it's okay. It's okay. So I hope that explains it. These are all moments that he is totally, totally comfortable. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to let him go, and I'm going to see what he does and see if he just still stands here, because he's kind of quite the ham in the TV star, or if he just wanders off to go to be with his herd. So anyway, again, I hope that explains things to you, but I want to just bring things back around. Being present in the pasture, that's what we're talking about. Be present. Bloom where you're planted. If you live in the city, if you live in the country, wherever it is that you land, just bloom where you're planted. And if you are present in the moments and you can live and search for that joy, as hard as it is going to be, because I tell you guys, I have a cry every day. I have a cry every single day. And I just keep hearing my son saying, Mom, again, God's going to take care of you. And there's such great things ahead, and we're going to see one another again. And let me bring it back to you. Also, please share where you guys are viewing from, and let me know any questions that you have. Again, grievingmoms.com, and you can get the book there. I know a lot of people say, how do we get the book? How do we get the book? You can go through it yourself. You can go grab a friend to go through it. You could do it with your husband. You know, it doesn't matter, your significant other, but get together with someone and don't be alone. And be present in those moments, because in those moments, God will supply you with all the joy that you need in order to get through this. Be confident, He did not forget about you. He didn't. I know I have moments that I feel like He has forgotten about me. Like yesterday, I kind of felt like that, and tomorrow's a new day. You know, as one of my moms was saying to me, you know, Jackie, tomorrow's a new day. Today wasn't a good day, so I just know that I got to look forward to the sun coming up tomorrow morning, and that there's hope at sunrise. That's my devotional name, and I'm hoping to get that book out soon and available so that you can have a hard copy, because I actually want a hard copy myself and more about the book. So anyway, I don't know, I think we're close to about 6:30, but I'm just going to just leave you here, but I'm happy to come back on any comments that you have to share with me, any questions that you might have, and I hope to see you in a group. If you want to start something in a church, you can certainly do that. It's all about trying to get everybody connected, linking arms so that you don't have to do this alone. That's not what we're supposed to do, is do this alone. It's too hard to be alone. And moms grieve differently than dads. Amen to that, right? So God bless you guys. I will see you out there on Facebook Live Land next Tuesday. And in the meantime, if I